Today, Sony dropped a pretty big bomb on Marvel's Avengers, which is the upcoming video game from Square Enix. And they have announced that Spider Man will actually be a playable post launch character for this game. And I'm honestly really excited to see what they do. It sounds like it's not necessarily Insomniac's version of this character, but perhaps Square Enix's own original iteration of Spider Man. I'm excited to see how he plays, how he engages with the other Avengers characters, what his exclusive, you know, post launch missions will be, how he'll integrate into the multiplayer. And even though I have expressed apprehension for this title based on the sole purpose of the marketing, I am very cautiously optimistic for this game. I think that there will be a lot of enjoyment to be had, and I'm really hoping that the story has a lot more to offer than the marketing has let on, and I hope that the gameplay elements really land, and I genuinely hope that this is something special that as members of this community that we're all in of loving superhero games can really gravitate towards. And I hope that it ends up being something really special, a gameplay experience that we can all play together via multiplayer and also discuss, from the single player point of view, from that amount of content. So I am excited to see all of that, and honestly, that's all even more elevated by Spider-Man's involvement in this game. However, there's a reason that only about 1/3 of players are excited for this announcement, and the other 2/3 are very upset and, in fact, potentially even not purchasing the game. And it's because Spider-Man, like his own standalone game, Spider-Man PS4, will be exclusively playable on PlayStation. You cannot play the Spider-Man content on Xbox or PC. And from a business perspective and from that objective standpoint, I'll say what I said in my video about Warner Brothers games potentially being purchased by Microsoft. I understand where they're coming from. I understand why Sony could look at a character like Spider-Man and say, we want him to be on the face of all of our promotion. We want people to see PlayStation and incorporate Spider-Man as part of that image because that will push the sale of consoles. That will be a big selling point for them. Just like how if Microsoft acquired the Batman license to make Batman games, then that would be a huge selling point for them. If you look at an Xbox and Batman is a big selling point for that, that would push a lot of consoles that way as well. So I understand from a business perspective, but as always, I empathize with people who will not be able to experience this content. I have both consoles, and so for me, when an announcement like this happens, it's genuinely just like, well, I guess I know which console I'm purchasing it on. But I also understand the frustration, and I feel like this might actually be a bit of a miscalculation on whoever's idea this was. Because with a standalone game, with Spider-Man PS4, it's arguably a bigger deal that Spider-Man got an exclusive game than that he'll just be an exclusive character. However, Spider-Man is such a pivotal, integral part of Marvel, and he's arguably the majority of Marvel fans' favorite character. He's one of the biggest superheroes of all time. Right up there with Batman and Superman, and arguably even bigger. He's arguably the most popular superhero of our time. The fact that he will be in this multi-platform game as an exclusive, I understand why that rubs people the wrong way. I understood back in 2016 when, Spider-Man PS4 was announced for PS4 exclusively. I understood why Xbox fans were upset. And back then, I didn't own a PlayStation. I hadn't purchased one yet, so I was even feeling the sting back then. And I understand why exclusives happen. And I understood why they made Spider-Man PS4 exclusive to that console to push the console's sales. And it worked. A lot of people purchased a PS4 for Spider-Man. However, for Marvel's Avengers, I don't really see that being the case. I don't see people dropping $400 to experience a few missions as Spider-Man. Now, with Miles Morales or Spider-Man 2, which they have confirmed is coming at some point down the line, that would be a different story. But for some exclusive DLC, I think it just really frustrates people rather than making them feel obligated to go purchase the other console. And so I really do understand all that frustration. Now, if they had incorporated Insomniac's version of Spider-Man and sort of given everybody the opportunity to play it. So you give Xbox players some, brief engagement with this iteration of Spider-Man, and PC players the same, they might look at that and want more, and that could potentially urge them to go purchase a PlayStation in order to experience more content of that caliber with Spider-Man. However, I just feel like it's kind of a miscalculation, like I said. I understand why they're doing it, but I also feel that this reflects what I said in that video where I talked about, Microsoft potentially purchasing Warner Brothers games. It's the exclusive content used to be pretty reasonable. It used to be original IPs, and it also used to be just some nice little extra things that a certain console owner could have. You even look at something like Batman Arkham Knight. Having played it on both consoles, I can tell you guys on Xbox, you really are not missing on anything. You're missing like 2 skins that I've never used, and you're missing some Scarecrow Nightmare missions, which are pretty much just more racetrack content. And some tank mode stuff. So it's not like you're missing tons, but for PlayStation users, that's a nice little extra thing that you can kind of do, and that you gain just by having that console. But when you're putting a character as big as Spider-Man exclusively in this multi-platform game on PlayStation, it can start to feel really egregious to some people. So I am really excited to see what they do with Spider-Man. I'm excited to see what this version of the character is, how he plays. I'm excited to try out the beta for some of the other characters this weekend, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And I want to make it very clear that I am not in favor of this decision. I'm not necessarily in favor of Spider-Man being this PlayStation exclusive cornerstone that Xbox players just simply never have the opportunity to experience. But from a business standpoint, I understand why it happens. If I had it my way, nothing would be exclusive. Last of Us 2 would be on Xbox. Ghost of Tsushima would be on Xbox. But ultimately, I can't do anything about it. So ultimately, I love games. So if Batman becomes an Xbox exclusive and Spider-Man becomes a PlayStation exclusive, then I will be purchasing both consoles. I will kick myself in the butt for doing it, but I love games that much, so we'll see how it goes. But thanks you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.